So hello and a very early good morning here from Frankfurt Airport. It is currently about 4 a.m. and I'm here at the Hampton Inn near to Terminal 2. And today I'm going to be taking two flights. First a Ryanair 737-800 from here to London Stansted, and then attempting to connect from Stansted Airport to Heathrow Airport and hop on an Aer Lingus A320 to Belfast George Best Airport. So I have about a total of 3.5 or 4 hours to get from Stansted to Heathrow, and hopefully that works. It'll be around 8 a.m., so the height of rush hour. Let's see if I can make it from Stansted to Heathrow. So as I said, I'm here at the Hampton Inn. The rooms are pretty practical for a 1-night stay or 2-night stay, and there is a shuttle bus that takes you from the hotel to the airport, although the shuttle bus is not free unless you're a Dime member. It is a cost of, I think, about €5 for that. But it's a nice hotel, especially if you're just traveling for a bit. So let's walk over to Terminal 2, which is about a 10-minute walk from here, and get on this Ryanair flight over to London. So here we are now at Terminal 2 in Frankfurt Airport. At this time of the morning, around 5:30, Terminal 2 was very empty, and in my experience, Terminal 2 is usually a bit emptier than Terminal 1. This is because Terminal 2 is where all the non-Star Alliance flights, and then of course all the Ryanair flights fly out of, and most people who use Frankfurt Airport tend to fly on Lufthansa, which comes out of Terminal 1, so that means the security lines and passport control is usually a bit quicker at Terminal 2. So just got through security. There was really nobody there at security, so definitely benefits to coming early, and I was able to check in, no issues. So now I'm off to the gate, D20 here. So at Terminal 2 at Frankfurt Airport, the security is done a bit differently for non-Schengen flights. So going to the UK is non-Schengen. They actually do the security at the gate itself, which is kind of different. So nothing's really open yet to eat, and I'll show you here just how empty and closed the airport is. But got about an hour to wait before my flight, and then it's off to London. A very rare sight to see Frankfurt Airport so empty, but I guess it makes sense at 5:30 in the morning. So another point about the security here at Frankfurt, about being at the gate, that often means that there's one security checkpoint for about every 4 gates, but the lines can get really long. So if you have a flight leaving in the afternoon or the evening, plan ahead for that if you're flying out of Terminal 2, because the lines for security can get really, really long. And also there are lounges in Terminal 2. I have priority pass, so I have access to 5 of the lounges here, but unfortunately none of them are open before 6 a.m. and I have to board at 6:10, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But there are 5 lounges here, and hopefully one of my future videos can give you a review of those lounges, but for now I'll have to settle for just the normal boarding area. And if you are here early before everything opens, here are your options for food. Vending machine, snack machine, and some coffee, and that's about it. So now going to the Ryanair portion of Frankfurt Airport. Ryanair actually just started to fly to Frankfurt Airport, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, the main one. Before that they used the Frankfurt Hahn Airport, which is really far away from Frankfurt, and a lot of other low-cost carriers use that airport. And then Ryanair changed to using the main airport here, which is a lot more convenient, but they also were given sort of the worst possible gates. So their gates are really, really far and a long walk, but you get your steps in, use some energy this early in the morning.
Choosing Ryanair, we wish you a pleasant flight. Please hold your boarding passes and your passports ready. Bitte halten Sie Ihre Bordkarten und Ihre Ausweise bereit. Danke.
So as is normal with Ryanair flights at Frankfurt Airport, you take a bus to the plane instead of using the jet bridge. But for an av geek like me, that just gave me a nice opportunity to see some cool and exotic planes against the backdrop of the morning sunrise, which was pretty nice. So my ride today up to London Stansted was this 3-year-old Boeing 737-800. Ryanair's fleet is completely made up of 737-800s, but interestingly, this one was registered with their subsidiary Air Malta. So being greeted by the welcoming smile of the very friendly Ryanair flight attendant and cabin crew, I quickly found my window seat on the left side of the plane and got ready for my hour-and-a-half flight up to London. So Ryanair is very proud of being a low-cost budget carrier, and when you fly a low-cost budget carrier, you tend to sacrifice on things like legroom, as you can see there. Also, the tray table is relatively small, and there's no seat back pocket in case you want to store something while you fly. Also, interestingly, there's no normal safety card. Instead, it's just glued to the seat back in front of you. So it's a basic seat for a basic price. My breakfast this morning was this €5 ham and cheese panini from Ryanair. It was pretty good. So here we are, about a half hour remaining in the flight. We've just begun our descent into London Stansted. And just 2 quick notes on this flight before I give my more in-depth review later on. This flight cost me €0. I used the gift card that I got for Christmas, and usually the flight would have been about €55, which is about $60. On Ryanair, there are 2 different options for your fare, either non-priority or priority. Non-priority gives you, of course, non-priority boarding, and also only allows you 1 carry-on item, 1 small carry-on item like a backpack or a purse. Priority gives you priority boarding, as well as that 1 small carry-on item and 2 regular carry-on items like normal carry-on luggages. The difference in the fare is normally about €30 to €50, but I would recommend buying a non-priority ticket and then simply adding a bag to it after you're done with your purchase, because normally that only costs about €10 or €15 extra as a surcharge, and that usually is pretty cheap. Also, if you compare other rates on this route from Frankfurt to London Heathrow instead of Stansted on British Airways or Lufthansa, you'll end up saving about €40 to €80 depending on whichever Ryanair fare you choose. So you're saving a lot of money and getting a pretty decent product in return for that savings. I had a 3.5-hour layover in London generally to get to Heathrow from Stansted, and thanks to a very good Uber driver, I was able to do it, and also due to almost no lines at security and already having checked in beforehand, I had about an hour now to wait for my next flight. The flight on Ryanair was normal, as any Ryanair flight is. I'll give a full review later on that flight, and now I'm going to be on an Aer Lingus A320 up to Belfast, and I have not been on Aer Lingus in a long time, probably for about a good 15 or 16 years, so we'll see how good their domestic service is from Heathrow up to Belfast International Airport. So my flight up to Belfast George Best Airport today was this 8-year-old Airbus A320. The legroom was good, especially for a flight under an hour. Enough room in the seat back pocket and 2 empty seats next to me, which is always a bonus. So the in-flight magazine of Aer Lingus, which I guess is called Ripped and Not Replaced, shows their route network, which is pretty extensive both in Europe and into North America. So I am back at a Hampton Inn, this time in the Belfast city centre, after arriving on a A320 from Aer Lingus. It was a quick flight, 55 minutes, but rather bumpy coming on the approach to Belfast's George Best International Airport, which is a very small airport. Only had, I think, 3 baggage carousels, very, very small amount of customs. So I don't think they use that airport for a lot of UK flights. But overall, it was a pleasant experience in Aer Lingus. Didn't give us anything, no food or drinks or anything, but comfortable seat pitch, and had the middle seat free on that flight as well as my first flight on Ryanair. So I got lucky today both times having middle seats free. Yeah, Ryanair is basically everything that could be said about Ryanair has already been said. It's your standard budget carrier, but in my opinion, it definitely gets worse reputation than it deserves. The seat pitch is quite good on Ryanair. You have actually nice amounts of legroom. I actually flew a Lufthansa A321 that had less legroom than Ryanair, and Lufthansa charged me about 3 times more for that flight. So if you go into Ryanair expecting, a 5-star carrier, you're going to be disappointed. But if you go in there expecting a budget carrier, then you're going to be okay. I always find the flight attendants and the crew to be really nice on Ryanair. They always seem to have a smile on their face. They're always very young. So they're more vibrant, and they just seem to really enjoy the job that they're doing. And I found the crew on Aer Lingus to be also quite nice. So all in all, a good trip up here to Belfast. I'm excited to explore this city that has so much history, both far in the past and much closer to the present. I was also very happy that I made it to Heathrow Airport. Heathrow Airport, you could definitely see the signs of the coronavirus everywhere today. Frankfurt Airport was very, very empty, although I just thought it was very early. That's probably the case. But Heathrow, I was there at 10:30, and it took me about 5 minutes to get through security in Terminal 2. So it was pretty empty today in Heathrow. And as I said, George Best here was, of course, very empty. It was also strange to see a lot of parked A380s in Heathrow that will not be flying, and a lot of parked Flybe planes that were recently grounded up here in Belfast. So thanks for coming along with me on this flight on this trip. I hope that I gave you a bit of a good idea of what to expect on Ryanair or on a domestic Aer Lingus service. And tell me what you think about Ryanair in the comments, as well as Aer Lingus. And if you have any tips or suggestions on what to see in Belfast, what to do here, or in Derry, tell that in the comments as well, because it's the first time I've ever been to Northern Ireland. So thanks a lot for coming along, and stay tuned for my next video, which will be coming out shortly.